You're listening to Bridges Radio Program. This is a show about the creative industries, artists of all mediums, and other professionals who make the art we all enjoy. Bridges is produced at Citadel House Studios in Lewisport, Newfoundland and Labrador, and is a collaborative project between Carolyn R. Parsons and Citadel House. This program can be found on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and in podcast at SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, as well as many other podcast hosting programs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bridges Radio. I'm here with my co-host, Carolyn. My name is Bonny. This is our March 8th episode, and we'll be talking with Rod Taylor today. And last week, myself and Carolyn had a chat, and I interviewed her for her book. So,
you did.
How's everything going?
It's good. It's good. This is magic because I'm on this podcast and I'm having a book launch at Citadel House at the same time. It's amazing.
You really can be two places at once.
I've been cloned. Super top secret science fiction-y stuff, and yeah. So no, it's the magic of recording ahead of time. But
there you go.
There you go. So hello everybody, and happy to be here. March 8th already. So yeah, it's moving along, and feels like we just started doing this podcast, and we've been at it for 6 months now, I guess. We're up getting close.
That is ridiculous. Wow.
Oh, it is.
Time is flying.
And we have talked to some amazing people. I think back sometimes at all the interesting conversations we have. By the way, so that people know, all of the episodes we've done in the past, they're all podcasts. So they're available. You can subscribe, and you can subscribe on iTunes podcasts, Google Play podcasts,
Spotify,
Radio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Spreaker, which is our main platform. Any place pretty much that hosts podcasts, we're on there. We've connected with all the major platforms, and so they're available. And so that way, when you subscribe, you can download them onto your phone, listen to them. You know, when you're on a road trip, us chatting about art and music and all kinds of stuff, but not just us, really interesting people we've had. Who have we had? Well, our very first show, Mike Bigger, was a fantastic conversation about taking leaps of faith when it comes to your art. And we've had Tim Baker, we've had The Fortunate Ones, we've had Kevin Blackmore, we've had Don Baker, Gary Collins. I'm leaving all sorts of people out. We've done a lot of shows, and we've talked to romance writers. We've talked to local. Adam Baxter was on early on. Local musicians, who's also a music educator, award-winning music educator. With so many talented people we've had on. So get those downloads because they're always relevant. Our content is not. Some of it is. There's a show coming up, but our interviews are really timeless, and you can get some really good pearls of wisdom from your favorite, and maybe new artists that you'll find. So,
yeah, exactly. One of our people who we had almost in the very first few episodes was Tim Baker, like you said earlier, and he spoke about his project. I think that it was upcoming just a little bit, and he's finally released the release date, which is April 19th. Forever Overhead will be available, and I'm really excited because I cannot stop listening to the singles. And I'm going to go see him in St. John's when he plays with Charlotte Cornfield.
It's wonderful because I talked to Tim. It was months ago. It was one of our first shows, and he was such an interesting person to talk to, and he had just done this. He had left Hey Rosetta. He hadn't left, but they'd all decided to take a break and do some solo projects, and he was doing his thing and talking about going from being one of many to just him on stage, and how daunting that was to to him in some ways, and freeing and exciting, but also, there's a different dynamic there, and to me, that was very interesting to hear that coming from someone with the caliber of success that Tim Baker's had. That he also feels that little bit of angst about trying something new and putting yourself out there. It makes the rest of us feel like, okay, so we're not alone. It's everybody that has that. You just got to, punch on through and do it anyway. Do it afraid, as they say. And now he's coming out with his album, and I'm going to get it. It'll be like that morning I'll wake up and download it, because that's just not something I'm going to wait too long for. And
Nope.
And I love his work, and I love his music, and I loved A. Rosetta. And so I think that's going to be a fantastic addition to any playlist. So
For sure.
yeah. So, and he's touring that too, so there'll be shows all over the place. I noticed.
He is quite extensively, and the tickets are selling out already.
Oh, selling out and adding shows and selling out and adding again. It's been, but I'm not surprised. I mean, it's
No.
not surprising at all. We've missed him on the circuit, and so it doesn't surprise me that people are anxious to get out there and see what he's been up to. And we had a little preview of it, so I'm a little grateful. And I mean, he played at Citadel House, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was a great show. So.
A lot of the songs that I think are going to be on this project he played here, which is kind of just road testing them, which is really kind of special.
And they were beautiful. They were amazing. They didn't sound like something that was brand new. It was like, okay, this is Tim Baker's good stuff. But to him, it was, his workshopping them on us, and we were fortunate in getting to hear the early bits of that. So I'm pleased. I'm looking for so much good music coming.
Yeah.
I started a playlist that is all Newfoundland musicians. Old, new, a lot of new, because I'm discovering people. I mean, I'm not discovering them, but they're out there doing stuff, and I'm like, stumbling upon their music. And it's easy to fill it up and put it on and play, and never have to listen to anybody outside in the outside world. It's like we got enough of our own. Not that I would do that. I mean, I still like a lot of other stuff, but it's nice to be able to just immerse in Newfoundland voices and
it's so diverse in what people are putting out in this province that you don't feel like you're just listening to jigs and reels or one genre or two genres or something like that. There's so many different genres and different styles, and it's very. I've said this before to people that like every area has every geographical area has a very distinct sound. Like I found Toronto music that's coming out of Toronto, that is people who are born and raised in Toronto, has a very distinct sound, and like compared to East Coast music, and then East Coast music like Maritimes compared to Newfoundland, there's very distinct things that I think musicians incorporate into the music that anyways. we have a unique thing, a unique brand.
I think every region has their community of artists, and so they influence each other too, and then they are influenced by what's gone before, and they're also influenced by the people around them and the characters around them, and the music and the songs are written with that inspiration, so they become very, very distinct. And our music is, I mean, I have this playlist, and it'll go from, the Fables to Fortunate Ones to Ron Hines to Joel Thomas Hines, who doesn't sound anything like, well, I mean, I think there's some similarity, but I mean, Joel's a rocker, and then it goes, and then you have Christian House with these beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to Nick Earle's album, and I have Roland Coffin, and I have Cassidy Rich, and it's like it bounces around all these amazing voices, and Fortunate One, or Hey Rosetta, of course, and it bounces around, and Alan Doyle, and then Sean McCann. I mean, Alan Doyle and Sean McCann were in Great Big Sea, so we think of that, that Great Big Sea sound, but if you take Alan Doyle and Sean McCann out and listen to their solo stuff, it's like oh, there's two other classes of music that you're getting, and they both overlap with their Great Big Sea stuff. But Sean does a very folksy sort of, um, I shouldn't say folksy, but folk storytelling type music. Very, oh, it's just beautiful voice. And then Alan, of course, with his very familiar gravelly tones, and I listen to them and go, yeah, I can hear the Great Big Sea stuff, but there's so much themselves as well, And I enjoy my new playlist, and I'm always adding to it and put it on shuffle. And yeah, good music we got. We got good music.
We do, It's in the water. It's in our blood. And I think we say it almost every episode, the wealth of talent here. I'd really like to get, I think Christian is a fantastic songwriter, but, you're an author, obviously. And I'm a lover of music. I'd like to get somebody on this show, which I think we do almost every single time, who's just a phenomenal songwriter. I'd like to get Donovan Woods, actually. That would be my goal, but he's not from Newfoundland.
That's okay. We can have whoever we want on the show.
There we go.
Mike Bigger was our first guest. He's not from Newfoundland.
That's true.
We can do whatever we want. If we could get someone like that, I would love to see like a Ron Sexsmith or, like the songwriters that different ones come to mind. Someone, Gordy Sampson, people like that. I just love those. They're good at, I don't know, just making the songs, making the poetry, and putting the music and doing it all together. Some people are just more known for that. You know who I'd love to have on our... We could make a wish list, and maybe sometimes say, hey, call me. Bruce Guthrow. I love Bruce Guthrow. People like that, and all these artists, of course, being involved in the industry. People like that I've been listening to for a long, long, long time. And, oops, I'm sorry. I thought I turned my notifications off on my computer, but I didn't. So I have a little bell. My apologies to the listening audience. If you're out there in the listening audience and you have favorite artists, please, and if you know somebody who wants to come on the show who is working in the creative arts.
It doesn't have to be music or writing. It can be any creative art.
Any creative arts out there. Please let us know. We're looking for people. I mean, we should never run out. We have 300 writers or members of the Writers Alliance of Newfoundland. So we've only just barely touched that pool of talent in just writers. And of course, not all writers are members. So there's a lot of writers. So, and then the musicians, you can probably triple that. So, but if you know of somebody doing something who would like to come on and chat to us about their interesting art, and we would love to talk to them. What do you think about it?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I was having a chat with Waterfront Fire was here last week or 2 weeks ago now, and I was talking to Jordan Coker. He's the front man or the vocalist for Waterfront Fire, and he's also part of Quote the Raven, and he's hoping to be on the show sometime in March. So we'll look for him.
Well, we better hurry because this is the March 8th show.
It's true. Yep. So there's only so many Fridays in the month. They whiz fast.
we run out of Fridays. And Friday's a good day to do the show. Like Friday feels like a happy day for most people. Like the end of the work week.
Yeah.
It is for me because I don't work outside, but the kids have to get up for school every day, so I get up every day of the week. And then Saturday, I don't have to get up most Saturdays, so it's like Friday is a good night. Stay up later. So,
yeah.
So I'd love to have him on the show. That'll be a great interview. Another good one for you to do since you've already talked to him. So, yeah.
Well, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Speaking of interviews, I feel like it was still only my first interview because I did it by my very own self all alone. I did Rod Taylor's interview, and I'm not going to throw it to that interview yet, but I just wanted to say that because I'm very proud. I've interviewed you and Cassidy as well, but that didn't feel alone because my mentor, my interview mentor, Carolyn, is there.
I have been throwing poor Bonny into the fire of interviewing people because, first of all, she's quite capable. And second of all,
Thank you.
It's